Hey, it's me. It's Will. I wanted to do some live action footage for this one, but I didn't want to use my usual outfit, which I now haven't used in probably several years, but still. Yeah, I didn't want to do this as a persona, but rather as myself, so I'm just dressing the way I normally dress now. And still not doing the face, though. No, I'm committing to that to the very end. You are getting an arm reveal, though, so there's that, I guess. Hopefully YouTube won't crack down on me for showing too much skin. I know I'm being very immodest. But anyway, as you probably figured out from the title, this is my video where I'm saying that I'm not going to be doing YouTube anymore, which was probably pretty predictable. I'm pretty sure if you have any deduction abilities, you could figure out that it was coming at some point. But yeah, I'm quitting YouTube altogether now, because my channel is just, it's not going to get back on track. It's not going to get to a point where I'm happy with it, which is what I've been trying to do for the last few years. But yeah, I'm simply not in the mental space to do that. And even if I was, I think I would honestly be better off starting over, because like, I thought that having a audience already in place would be a good thing, but it's just kind of more baggage. Because, you know, the audience wants one thing, I want another thing, and yeah. That's basically it. So like the pressure of trying to get it to a point I'm happy with is just causing me more stress than it's worth. It's also just not going to happen. Like you can't just upload one video like every 6 months or something and expect it to go anywhere, especially not when the videos you do upload aren't even up to your own standards. So, you know, it's just not working, basically. It is a kind of hard decision to make because like I do have a long history with it. Like my 10-year anniversary is coming up, but I'm not going to be there to see it because, well, I mean, there's not really any point to it anyway. And really, like, that's just kind of the thing. Like, there's nothing really left for me, so whatever history I had, like, it's not here anymore. I can just shut down the channel and that's still gonna be there. I'm not getting rid of the history just because I'm getting rid of the channel. Although I'm not getting rid of it, but I'm getting into that a little bit later. But yeah, it is also hard because I do still have so many ideas I want to do. But technically I could still do most of them on a new channel if I was at any point in the headspace to start making videos again at some point and I decided to make a new YouTube channel. So yeah, there's not much to lose for me doing this. So anyway, what exactly does this mean? Well, for one, I'm not gonna be idle. A lot of people last video were like, oh, you know, go rest now. I'm not gonna rest. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not... I hate having my hands be idle. Maybe you can tell from this video I'm doing right now. Like, I'm trying to emote a lot with these because I hate just having them, like, still. I want to do stuff. Even though I'm not really in a condition to do stuff, I need to do stuff. So I'm going to focus on stuff that I can currently sort of do, which is largely writing and game development. I mean, I haven't really been able to finish a game, but I do it. Like, I work on it and then I don't, but you know, that's better than just what I do with YouTube, where I usually just don't work on it at all. So yeah, I'm going to try to focus more on that. I have yet to find the sites I would want to publish that stuff on. You would think that it would be very easy to find a writing website, but no, I've looked through like all the main ones, like going through a list of like, oh, 50 best sites to post your writing, and they're all garbage. I don't get it. Like, the layout is so bad. It's just like, maybe I'm just old. Maybe I'm already just old by internet standards, and I just don't, I can't stand all this extra stuff. I just want the text to be there and accessible, and I just don't want all these fucking blobs and pop-ups and whatever else they got going. Like, I don't know. Point is, I'm gonna keep looking until I find something I'm happy with, and until then, I'm probably just gonna end up making my own website to post it on. I have been looking into that. I haven't done it at this time because I've gotten stuck at the part where you gotta name the damn thing. I have never been good at names. Um, but yeah, that is coming at some point, although I'm not gonna link it here or anything because, well, I'm trying to start over altogether. That's kind of the point here. I want to prove to myself that I can build a new audience and it wasn't just a one-time thing. Like, there is something about me and not just this one thing I did. So I just want to kind of start over altogether with my audience, both because of that and also because, honestly, I don't think the audience I have right now, for the most part, would enjoy the stuff I want to do. So yeah, you're not really going to be seeing that unless you explicitly look for it. And even then, I'm not really sure if I'm going to keep the Willcraft name. I'm not entirely against it. I do kind of like it still. I don't think it's necessarily bound to Minecraft, but I'm also thinking that, you know, I have a chance to get a new name now. I've had time to think about it. But again, I'm not good with names. I haven't really thought of anything better, but we'll see. At the time of me recording this, it's all very much still up in the air. As for this channel, a lot of people have been asking me if I'm gonna shut down my channel. Some have been telling me not to, like, oh please, even if you gotta leave, please don't take away your videos, please don't shut down your channel. It's always so heartwarming when people are able to set aside their own wants and needs in favor of what's best for others. But in all seriousness, I do get that. I am myself very much an archivist kind of guy. I want everything to be available always, which is why I'm not going to shut it down. I'm just going to let it be dead. So my videos are all going to be there. They're going to be there for you to watch. And I'm probably still going to be using this account just for watching videos, because that's what I've always been doing. So you might still see me comment on a video every now and then. I am going to disable notifications from comments on my videos, though, because I'm kind of sick of my notification feed looking like this. But yeah, the videos are going to stay up, no worries about that. You'll be able to rewatch them as much as you want. At least until YouTube decides to kill it. You never know with this site. I mean, my channel could just be gone tomorrow because they decided I did something wrong somewhere according to their guidelines. I don't know. So what I'm saying is, if you really, really like my videos, you might want to archive them somewhere just in case, but I'm not going to remove them personally. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're always going to be there. As for Exit the Intraverse, that's something that I've kind of gotten to work on this channel, and I know that that has a small fan base. And I got some bad news there, because I don't think I'm going to keep working on it, like, even elsewhere. For one, because it's just a matter of scope creep. Like, it was supposed to be a small thing I could finish in a few months, and it has grown into something that I've been working on for years, and it hasn't gone really much of anywhere. And I also suspect that it might be having a negative impact on my well-being, because I think it's not really hard to tell that, like, based on the name of the game just alone, you can kind of tell that it's me trying to present things that are in my head. But I'm finding that the way I'm going about it is not really helpful. I think that it forces me to approach the subject matter in a way that doesn't really benefit me. It's just kind of, it's a mix between romanticizing and just otherwise not approaching it in a good way. Because, like, it's a horror game. It's supposed to approach the subject matter in a way that is uncomfortable and at the same time interesting. And it's kind of hard to do that and simultaneously maintain a good state of mind, basically, when you are currently suffering from these issues. And I somewhat recently noticed that I'm not sure, but I think maybe it's just kind of exacerbating the issue, and if there's even a chance that that's the case, it's just not worth it, because I have other ideas that I could work on. And even then, like I said, this isn't really going anywhere anyway. So basically, the Intraverse is permanently going to be on hold. I might work on it at some point in the future, but we're talking years from now, and even more before it's actually finished, if it ever is. Which is a shame for those of you who were looking forward to that stuff, but I included some bonuses for you, just so you have something to latch onto, because I have been working on some things I never posted because there weren't really enough of them for a video. Like, usually I want some dialogue going, I want to be able to, like, basically shoot a scene so I can post it. But I had some stuff that I can show. Not all of it, some of it I think is just too uninteresting to show, but I got some models at least. I got this thing right here. This is called the Control Freak. It was going to appear in Axtor's domain, and I had a thing I wanted to do for it where it stutters, and the stuttering would actually visually impact it. Like, whenever there's a dash in its dialogue, it would make a glitchy noise and flinch. But yeah, I never got to actually show that, so I'm just describing it to you, which is not as exciting, but, you know, I hope it's better than nothing. Then there's the third area, which I never got to show, that looks sort of like this. It's basically just a light bulb creature, because I couldn't really, like, think of where the light would come from in any given scene, so I thought I could just make a creature for that. And it was supposed to look like kind of a firefly, but the more I designed it, the more it just looked like an actual light bulb, and I kind of stuck with that. Then there's this creature, which is a little more creepy, I guess. It's probably, personally, I think it's the freakiest one. It's the only one that sort of followed me into bed, so to say. I don't really like the look of it myself. I actually do have some footage of this one, so I'm gonna show that real quick. And then there's the main creature, the ruler of it, and that's this one. And she is called Soranali the Caller. This is not her finished model. This is me putting it in Unity and seeing if it looks good, and I concluded that it doesn't. I need to work on it a little more. The rig is terrible, for one. Like, I thought the tentacles would be easy because it's pretty easy to do in Blender, but then when you import it into Unity, you realize that what worked in Blender doesn't work in Unity, so now it's a nightmare. So yeah, this is one that I kind of regret, but I'm also kind of committed to the idea of having it be all tentacly-like, even though that means a lot of extra work. But again, it's not work I'm gonna have to do now anyway. And her thing was that she was supposed to speak in a very non-committal manner. like everything she said, like she would never take a proper stance. She would never say like, "Oh, you suck." She would always phrase it like a question, like, "Are you sure you don't suck?" Like, you know, that sort of thing. And I think from that alone, you can kind of glean what she's supposed to represent, maybe. I do also have some dialogue for her, well, not for her specifically, but like from characters within her domain, including the main one, which I never actually made. Like, you know, Axtor has the Broken, Sineon has the Mired. She's supposed to have one as well that serves as the main creature encounter, but I could never figure out what I wanted it to look like. So, yeah, it still doesn't really exist. But yeah, I do have some dialogue, just kind of miscellaneous, that I'm considering posting whenever I figure out where I want to put writing, just kind of rewrite it into more of a story format, just so I can get that out there. But yeah, it's, again, I feel like the writing especially is what kind of messes with me. Like, I have to write stuff out that I feel like I kind of shouldn't be. That doesn't really make sense to you, probably, but yeah, it's I feel like it has a negative impact on my own thought process, having to put myself in the mindset of these characters, essentially. One thing in particular that hit home pretty hard is a conversation representing trust as sort of roots that go deeper and deeper into your body. So the more you trust someone, the deeper their roots go, and then the lightest tug just kind of pulls your entire body with it, like the deeper they go. So something that wouldn't impact you if a stranger said it has a strong impact on you if you are close to the person, and it was just kind of talking about the horror of that responsibility when it applies to someone else, and the horror of the lack of control in your life when it applies to you. And yeah, that's become a little too relevant for me to really approach, and that's kind of made me realize, you know what, I don't think I should do this anymore. I don't think this is worth the toll it's taking on my mind. Anyway, away from that now. Endventures. You remember that thing? Yes, I have actually decided that I am going to, not finish it, but I am going to make a video telling you what would have happened if it did finish. I'm basically just going to narrate out the entire story I had planned to the best of my ability. I did, of course, forget some of it over the years, and I also did a lot of mental rewrites. But I'm trying to represent it as well as possible. As of recording this, that video is in production, and as of releasing this, hopefully it's going to be out a few days later. I wanted this to be the last video I put out because, you know, it is my video saying I quit, but I guess there is some poetic edge to it, that my channel both starts with Endventures and ends with Endventures. So that's what's going to happen. This isn't actually my last video, but when you see another video, don't get excited because that is the last one. So those of you who have been waiting for Endventures, you're finally going to get it. You're not going to get it the way you wanted it, but you're going to get something, some manner of closure. Now, that's technically everything I wanted to address in this video, but there are a few things that I wouldn't be able to talk about, or that wouldn't be worth talking about if I ever did another channel, or if I moved on to some other platform. So I'm going to try to just get all of that out there just so I feel 100% done with this channel. And that's basically what the rest of this video is going to be. And we're going to start that section, of course, with Monster School, which I'm so sick of talking about, but I don't think I've ever properly explained why. In fact, originally this video was supposed to be that. It was supposed to be a video just addressing all frequently asked questions, basically. But since I decided that I'm just going to quit, I'm basically just getting all those questions out now instead, when they technically don't matter, but I feel like I should just say it anyway, just so it's been said. So, Monster School, first of all, I mean, I don't think I even have to say that it's not going to continue, because now the channel isn't going to continue, but furthermore, it was never meant to last. Like, it is and always was a practice project. Like, if you go back in my channel and you look at when the first episode came out and what came before, I think I even described it somewhere. Maybe it's been lost to time, maybe it was in a comment that's been since removed or vanished in a sea of comments, but anyway, I remember specifically stating at some point that Endventures, which I was working on at the time, wasn't getting the views that I wanted it to, because, I mean, big shock, I'm a new person on YouTube, and it wasn't very good to begin with. But yeah, I decided that I was going to do something else to kind of practice animating and to maybe build up more of an audience, which was very successful in ways that I did not anticipate. But yeah, that's always what it was. It was always just something that I was doing as kind of a filler thing, and then I was going to stop it when I wanted to move on to other things. Obviously, that's not how things turned out, but that's how I meant for things to turn out. But, you know, that's never what happens. What you intend never is the outcome. And furthermore, I just kind of outgrew it. Like, it was always meant to end at some point, but even as I changed my plans a bit, because, you know, people really liked it, and I liked people liking things. I was a more naive person at the time. I didn't really understand the implications of feeding into this. But yeah, after a while, I just kind of got sick of it because I realized that this isn't funny to me. I'm not enjoying making it. And I just kind of want to move on to other things. Like, there was a point where I liked doing it. It was actually more fun to animate than Endventures, because in Endventures there's just a lot of people standing around talking, or fight scenes, one of which is boring, and one of which is, it was just, I wasn't very good at it. Monster School was more people doing very normal things, like walking and hopping from one place to another and putting something elsewhere. It was very good practice in that sense, you know, from the perspective of considering that I didn't actually practice the way you're supposed to, which is, you know, do something just for practice and don't upload it, but whatever. The point is, I never intended to continue it with or without my depression. Obviously, I'm not continuing it now anyway, but, you know, those people have been asking for years and years. It was never gonna work out. It should have been obvious. It should have been just a matter of looking at my channel, looking at when the last video was uploaded, looking at what's happened since then, and figure out, maybe he's done with this. Maybe he's moved on, but, you know, obviously, a lot of these people are dumb kids, very small kids. I like to think that kids are smarter than this, and I still hold them to a slightly higher standard than that, but apparently I'm asking too much here. But anyway, another thing, people seem to think that other people's monster school had an influence on it, but it really didn't. I don't care. Like, some people even go so far as to say that my depression was caused by it. Like, I like me seeing my baby being ruined by other people, but no, if that's how fragile my mind was, I would be in a way worse place than I am. No, it's like my main thoughts about that is that it's annoying that I don't get the revenue for it. That's my main concern, because like, if I could get the ad revenue for all of the ripoffs, I would not have to worry about money, I'm pretty sure. Like, there's so many of them, and so many of them get so many views. So even with 2 adpocalypses, or whatever it's been now, I'm pretty sure I would just be set. And I'm kind of cranky that this thing I grandfathered isn't giving me money. That's basically my main concern. Because as far as it, like, you know, just it being a ripoff and it being bad goes, there's so much of that on the internet. And sure, it's kind of weird that it's mine, like it came from me, but I'm over that. Like, it's been years. I got over it pretty fast, and I would say I don't get why people aren't getting over it, but I actually do, because, you know, people keep spawning, people keep growing up, and people keep thinking that this is a new thing, because it's new for them. But yeah, that's it. I don't really care about those at all. I only care about the fact that I don't make money off of them. That's where my mind's at. But yeah, that's kind of a segue into my depression, which I've also gotten a lot of questions about. So I'm gonna do a little overview on that. Again, it doesn't really matter anymore, but I guess it probably matters to some people. So, first of all, where did it come from? That's a question I get a lot. Why are you depressed? And that's a hard question for anyone to answer, first of all. I think I've sort of pinned down the main reasons, but I don't know for sure. But what I think it is that around this time when I had my initial breakdown, it was a time when I was trying to do different content. I was trying to do content away from Minecraft, away from Monster School, which I enjoyed doing more, and that was also more me-centric, because I was starting to realize that if I tie my viewers to a series, as soon as the series ends, they leave, and I was kind of getting that with what I was currently doing. Like, I would upload something that wasn't Endventures and wasn't Monster School, and it would get no views, because people weren't there for that. They were there for Monster School, and for Endventures to a lesser degree. So I looked at other YouTubers and what they were doing, and a lot of the time people would say stuff like, "Oh, I'll watch anything as long as you're doing it," and people weren't doing that with me because I wasn't really present in my content. Like, you know, that's not really what you do as an animator. You do the thing, and then you post it and you never appear in it. So I was thinking, oh, maybe if I do content that has me in it, then people will watch pretty much whatever I want to do, which is great because I'm a very volatile person. What I want to do changes pretty frequently over time, so that's really the only way I'm going to be able to maintain an audience. Because the one consistent variable in whatever I want to do is that it's going to have me in it to some degree. So that's why I, during a period, started doing top 10s and reviews and stuff, because that is content that interested me, and it was content that has me in it in that way. Obviously, it wasn't really going that well. And on top of that, I had a lot of worries about that. Like, obviously, I worried that it would even work out because it wasn't going very well, and I was worried that there would be a big backlash if I stopped doing the things that were getting views. And on top of that, I was worrying more broadly about just my future in general, not just my YouTube channel, but just kind of, you know, how's my education gonna go? How is work gonna go? Because when it comes to work, there are really only about 3 things I want to do. Like something like this, where I just get to post videos about myself doing stuff, is pretty fun. Writing is something I really enjoy. Game development is kind of, that's also a passion of mine. Those are pretty much the 3 things I can think that I would like to do. Like me talk about stuff, and me do stuff to talk about, pretty much. Like I'm a very fiction-oriented person in that way. I like making stuff, and I like talking about stuff that's been made. And that's kind of a hard thing to get a career in. So I was kind of trying to, I was pushing myself to basically like do something big, like get another hit that I could sustain myself on. Like, you know, write some best-selling book or something like that, so that I wouldn't have to worry about getting a shitty 9-to-5 job at an office or something like that. Because in my mind, if I did that, I would be stuck with that forever, because I just wouldn't have the spare time to do things I wanted to do that would maybe get me the career I wanted. So in my mind, here's basically what was going on. Either I write a best-selling book or make a best-selling game, or I get my YouTube channel to a space where that can sustain me, which it currently couldn't really, especially not with the looming prospect of me losing my cash cow, or I'm stuck forever in a job I hate, and that's the rest of my life. And when you put that amount of stress on yourself as a teenager, it's not really a healthy thing. So I'm pretty sure I just kind of crumbled under the pressure that I put on myself, and that's what kind of broke me. That's at least what I think it is. Probably some other factors in there. I'm pretty sure I was depressed way before I recognized it. At least I had the early signs of it, because I remember not being really happy for years prior. But again, I don't really know. That's just my best guess. As for my symptoms, because a lot of people seem to be getting this wrong, first of all, I have never, under this 4 or 5 year period, whatever it is now, I'm not really good at time, I have never under that period of time been suicidal. Like, people have been telling me, oh no, like people have been saying, like, oh, don't say mean things to him because he'll kill himself. No, I'm not that fragile. Like, I'm not saying that you are fragile, if that is where you are at, like, don't get me wrong, but I'm not at that point. Like, it's just not, it doesn't really mesh with me. Like, I am usually of the stance that, like, if I die, I can't fix the things that are the problem. Which, you know, obviously that's what everyone thinks, but you do get to a point where that doesn't really matter anymore, and I get that. I'm just not at that point. Like, I have sort of I think it was referred to as a moderate depression. There are people who have it way worse than me, and those people, I totally understand that they just do not want to exist. Like, even if it gets better later, they just can't really wait. They need things to get better now, or just not at all. So I understand that, but I've never been at that point, and I'm pretty happy about that. Like, I've been at a really bad point, but I've never wanted to just end myself, and that's pretty nice. I haven't known what that's like. Now, there have been times where I, for other reasons, want to end myself, but I've never actually gotten to it, because I always reel myself back and think, dude, you're just running away from responsibilities. You're doing this because you don't want to fix the issue. And again, this is referring to me, not to other people. I'm not going to talk down to other people. I don't know your situation. I don't know why you want to end yourself. But yeah, if you are in that place, I hope things work out for you and that you don't have to take that out, because, you know, it's not really a great way to go. It's not really a great solution. But sometimes it's the only one you can think of, and that's really bad. But anyway, before we get too depressing in the talk about depression, my symptoms that I actually do have is that, for one, as you probably noticed and that I've talked about many times, my production my productivity is just crippled. Like, I try to do something that I usually find pretty easy, and there's just a mental wall in the way. I just can't seem to do it. Like, even if it's usually fun to me, like I'll sit down and try to write and nothing happens. I'll try to animate, nothing happens. I'll try to do whatever, and it's just, I'm just staring at the screen thinking, why am I not doing it? I just don't want to do it. I want to do it, but I don't want to, you know? And it's been that way for years, and with animation it's still the most severe because, to be honest, I don't really like animating, I realized. Like, I was always doing it as a means to an end. I was always doing it because I wanted to make an animation, not because I actually enjoyed the process. I just wanted the result. With writing and game development and stuff, I actually enjoy the process, so it's easier for me to do. Still a lot harder than it used to be. In fact, there were times when I was younger that I wrote a finished book, several hundred pages, and I just can't do that now. I can write smaller stories to completion. That's why I usually write short stories now, and that's probably what I would be publishing if I started publishing my work. But yeah, my ability to do productive things is greatly limited. It has been getting better over the years, though, and I am more active now than I was 4 years ago, obviously. But it's still there. It's still, I am still not back at that level of productivity that I enjoyed during my, I would say probably, you know, probably when I was like 16, 15 or something. Because usually then I would just straight up work on animations during school break. Like, I didn't take a break, pretty much. Maybe that's kind of contributed to me eventually crashing, I don't know, but point is, that's a main symptom. Another one is that I'm not necessarily sad, usually, but I am suffering from a sort of an emotional flatline, pretty much. Like, if you imagine your emotional state as a rubber band, mine has been tightened. I don't get as happy when I get happy, and to a degree I don't really get as sad as when I get sad, I think. I'm not really sure about that one. I just know that I'm just at a lower point by default. Like, my normal is what someone else would probably call gloomy or sad. And most of the time, I just feel nothing. Like, I do something that used to make me really happy, and it just kind of makes me mildly improved mood. And I'll do something that makes me really sad, and, well, I don't really do that, but, you know, when that happens, I think maybe that does have a worse effect. But in general, I'm not really sad constantly, I'm just constantly feeling nothing, pretty much. Not constantly, but that's my usual state. And I would say that I have not known what it's actually like to be happy, like properly experiencing happiness, in many years. Like, many years as in 5 years, maybe even more. Like, I remember what it feels like. I remember the serotonins and all of that stuff, like how you feel when you are happy. And what I feel when I do things that make me happy is not the same thing. It's an improvement over how I usually feel. I definitely feel better than otherwise, but it's not the same thing. It's kind of like what used to be a flame is now just a spark, pretty much. And that's not a that's probably the thing I like the least about what I'm going through. Like, the productivity is maybe the worst thing. I'm not sure, because I like I said in the beginning, I really like keeping myself occupied. But I feel like the fact that I can't really enjoy doing it to the extent that I used to, and I can't really enjoy anything, is probably the worst part. Like, again, I'm not sad, but the fact that I'm just, like, restricted from feeling happy, and I'm just kind of stuck in this state of perpetual meh, is almost worse, honestly. Like, there's a reason that people, like, start doing really harmful things to themselves just because they want to feel something. Because sometimes it's worse to just feel nothing than feeling bad. And I get that. Again, I'm not really at a point where I do that. I can still do things to make myself feel better, and I do, but yeah, I really, really miss the feeling of being happy. I'm really pursuing that still. Like, it's not a good place to be. It's not a good place to be when you feel like you cannot really experience that anymore, and you're just in a perpetual gray zone. It's not fun. But yeah, I think that's about it when it comes to my symptoms that are worth mentioning. There are miscellaneous things, of course, but honestly, I'm not really sure what is even my depression anymore. Like, it's hard to know what is depression and what is just your personality when you've had it for this long. Like, they kind of start melding together. And I also know that I have other issues going on, which I'm not going to bother talking about too much here, because, you know, I haven't really bothered talking about it before, and it's not really relevant now because I'm leaving. But yeah, just let it be known that there's more wrong with me than just depression. And I will say one thing, though, as the last portion of this section, I am getting better in many noticeable ways as of late. Like, one thing I haven't been doing is that I haven't been able to like do housework, and that's one reason I haven't moved out of my parents' house, because it's not really something you can do when A, you can't have a job because you can't really work consistently enough to keep one, and when you can't even manage a household. But I have been doing that more. I have been cleaning more, I have been cooking more. In general, I've just been doing more chores, and that's a good sign, because once I can do that, I can hopefully get out of here, and I know for a fact that I feel better when I'm alone. I need my me time, and I'm not getting me time when I live with other people. And yeah, that's a big thing. I'm also seeing a therapist finally, which I did initially, like years ago, and I found it didn't work out for me, and I wasn't really in a space to pursue like the one that fits you. But as of recently, I decided, you know what? I feel like I'm finally in a space where I can say, I can just try. I can just go there, and even if it doesn't help me, even if the person doesn't really work out with me, I at least did something. Like, I'm at a point where I'm just doing more stuff that I don't want to do because I know it's better for me to do them than not to do them. And obviously, it's easy for someone to say, "Oh, you should have been doing it all along," but you know, it's not really like that. Like there is a point when you are like this where it's too much of a hurdle. Like for me, going to the store used to be like crossing a desert. Now it's more like going to the store. I actually go outside regularly now, and I hate going outside. That's a big thing. Like if you enjoy these activities, if you enjoy working out and being outside and all of this stuff, if you enjoy social interaction, whatever it may be, it's a lot easier for you to overcome these hurdles. But when you don't like it to begin with, and it's something that's supposed to help you, it's a bit rougher for you. And that's what it's like for me. I prefer to just stay indoors all the time and talk to only a handful of people that I really like. But if you do that, when you're depressed, it's not really going to help your depression all that much. You have to do things you don't want to do, but doing things you don't want to do also makes you feel bad. So it's a bit of a cycle, but it's one that I'm finally starting to get out of. So if anyone actually genuinely cared about my emotional well-being and my mental well-being, whatever, it is getting better, at least for now. I mean, you never know, maybe it's going to take a dip again, but if so, I'm going to be gone by the time that happens, so you'll never know about it. As far as you're concerned, I'm on the up. Now, lastly, I just want to say a few miscellaneous things, just to have them said. These are things that have been on my mind at some point, or that I was going to say anyway at some point. But yeah, just stuff that I don't think I will be able to say later on if I started to do something else, and I just want to get out now while I still can. Starting with, again, Monster School, because there's an idea that I've seen going around for quite a while now that I'm kind of getting sick of and I don't want to address, which is this idea that Monster School is a format. It's not a format. It never was a format. It's one series made by one guy. So whenever people say stuff like, oh, you know, I'm going to make a good Monster School in order to make the format good again. No, you're just doing another ripoff. Like, it's so weird to me that I'll see people talk about it, and when they talk about the good original Monster School, they will credit me in addition to like 2 or 3 other people. Like, no, those are also ripoffs, you just like those ripoffs more. And that's the part of the mindset why this thing was able to grow so far out of control in the first place, because people don't care about who made the original thing, they just care that there's more of it, and they don't understand that they're stealing the idea. Like, again, I don't really care that people steal the Monster School idea in particular, but I care about people stealing ideas in general. I think it's pretty pathetic that you are so creatively bankrupt that you have to just take what someone else is doing and do it again, and putting no interesting twist on it to make it your own. And I think it's also pathetic when people just allow that by doing stuff such as saying, oh, it's a format. It's not a format. There are, like the format of Monster School is Minecraft animation, pretty much. Like, but Monster School itself is a specific property, and the only one who is the original creator of it, whether I want to be or not, is me. Anyone that you consider to be an OG that isn't me isn't an OG. It's another ripoff. It's just a better ripoff in your opinion. And there are probably some people out there who think that these things that you think are really bad are also the OG because they like them. And that's a very dumb standard to hold, which leads me to my next point, which is something that I think is... I saw it, somebody sent me a video where someone does a retrospective on mouse school in general. That's part of why I'm making this video and why I'm making it so elaborate instead of just saying I quit, bye. Because in case someone wants to do that sort of thing, I want my thoughts to be 100% out there. Although I should mention a thing, I'm kind of doing this out of order. I'm having a bullet point list to help me out with this. I'm trying to talk off the cuff, but I'm trying to have some guidelines. And one thing I missed is that it's important to keep in mind that everything I say, just like anyone else, has a shelf life. What I say now might not hold true in a few years or even a few months, and that goes for everything on my channel. Like, there are things I've said on this channel that are still available to watch that I 100% don't stand for anymore. Like, I've unlisted most of those videos, so if a video is unlisted, it probably means that I don't stand by it anymore, or otherwise I just don't think it's any good. But yeah, everything I say here, for the most part, should be taken with at least a grain of salt. Like, the stronger you're gonna feel about it, the more you should consider that maybe that's not what he actually believes anymore, especially because I have never been great at expressing myself verbally. I'm more of a writing kind of guy when it comes to that sort of thing. But I don't just want to put up a bunch of text on this screen, and I also don't want to write out a script to narrate because I feel like that would be a little too artificial for this sort of video. But yeah, point is, everything I say has a shelf life. That's not me trying to give myself plausible deniability. I'm just saying. Most of the things I expect to stand for, but you never know. I'm just doing that in advance, just so you're aware, in case you didn't already figure it out, because I'm pretty sure that once you have interacted with enough people, you'll realize that that's just kind of a thing. People change their minds over time. People realize that something they said wasn't said very well and it didn't get their point across. But anyway, this next point that I was going to address, I'm getting things out of order now, but I'm getting it back on track now. So there's this idea that the reason that the mouse school clones happened is because I stopped. This idea that I was the quality control that prevented them from gaining traction. This is an idea I'm addressing not only for my own sake, but more importantly for others' sake, because this is a harmful idea, and if applied to people who are less used to pressure than I am, it could have pretty bad implications on their mental state. Because you're putting a lot of pressure on just one person then. So what's the example they used is that, oh, there's these Minecraft series, like Minecraft Hardcore, fucking hobo. I don't know Minecraft anymore. I haven't known Minecraft for years, but yeah, there's this specific Minecraft Let's Play formats that haven't been cloned, and they were like, why isn't that happening? Well, it's because these YouTubers are doing them and making sure that nobody else can do them. Like, you know, they are holding up the standard. That's not the reason. You see, the reason is because that format, if you want to call it that, is a lot harder to copy. I think the best example of this sort of thing is CinemaSins, if you watch those videos. I haven't done it in years, but one thing that you'll probably have noticed, whether you watch them or not, is that there's a lot of copies of those. And the reason is that it's really not hard to copy. All you need is a little ding sound effect and a counter, and somebody saying a lot of stuff about whatever is being presented. You just need a bullet point list of, oh, ding, 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 this, and you're done. There's nothing that the original one is doing that cannot be replicated. Like, I guess you could, like, the only thing that's really irreplicable is the guy doing the voice, and nobody's really watching the videos for him. If you changed out the voice, people would maybe react like, oh, that's weird, they changed the voice, but it wouldn't ruin the content. But if you subtracted these YouTubers from these Minecraft series thingies, you wouldn't really have anything to watch anymore. Like, sure, you could replace them with some rando, but it wouldn't be as good because the reason you watch them is because they have they have this name recognition and they have this charisma, which is a lot harder to replicate. Like, there are thousands, probably maybe even millions of people doing Let's Plays on YouTube. Like, if you click on any given YouTube account, chances are they have at least one Let's Play video on their channel, if they have any at all. And they probably have views in the double digits at best. You know why? because they don't have that charisma. They're probably just kind of sitting there like, hey guys, this is Who Gives a Shit playing some Minecraft together with what's his name, and we're gonna talk like this the entire video, and oh, there's a pig, let's hit it to get some pork chops. Like, it's not exciting. It's a skill to get people engaged when watching you play a video game. Like, it's not, you can't just sit down and play and expect it to go well. And that's the reason that Let's Plays and anything within Let's Plays are harder to replicate, because you either need people who are already famous or have the charisma to gain that fame legitimately. But if you take something like Monster School, it's more on the cinema side of things. Like, all you need is some shoddy animation. It doesn't even have to be good quality, it just has to be animation, basically. And some silly jokes, which don't even have to be jokes, really, they just have to be movement, because that's good enough for the babies, that I assume make up the majority of the fan base. And you're about done. You don't need to show your face, you don't need to use your voice, you don't need to tie the content in any way to anything that's difficult to replicate. The only thing you need is some basic animation skills, which is something that I was able to do at like 14. Like, literally anyone can do it, and therefore literally anyone can find success with it. Because the difference, like while there might be a big difference to you between the stuff I do and what others do, not everyone sees it that way. They just see, oh, there's animation and there's more of it than this one guy has. I'm going to watch this as well because then I get more of the thing I like, and that's all that anyone considers. That's the reason that it spiraled out of control, because it's easy to copy. These things that don't spiral out of control with ripoffs are difficult to copy, and therefore there are many ripoffs out there, but they just don't get the attention, because the elements that make them enjoyable, the reason people watch, aren't there. That's why. So the next time you see someone perpetuating this idea that it's all within the power of this one person to control, call them out on it. Or, just don't do that yourself, if anything, because that puts a lot of pressure and causes a lot of stress for whoever is being credited as the gatekeeper, so to say. Now, maybe they can handle that, but if they can't, that could really mess them up. Don't do that. Another thing I wanted to point out, this is a lesser thing, but it is one of those miscommunication things. I have never asked for sympathy. A lot of people, not a lot, but a handful of people have claimed that I just go to YouTube to like get me some sympathy so I can feel better about myself, like using my audience as an emotional sink. I have never done that, and I do not consider that to be a good thing to do. I've seen what happens to people when they do that, and it's just not good that you form that dependency on your audience, because not only is your audience fleeting and they don't really know you on a personal level, it's just not as, like, I know what it feels to get proper emotional support, and then what you get from a YouTube audience is not the same thing. Like, I couldn't do it because it doesn't work for me. If like, whenever people say something like, oh, I hope you'll feel better and I feel bad for you, it doesn't do anything for me, because I know that they don't mean it in a way that I need them to. Like, I need an emotional connection with a person in order to really feel their sympathy, because otherwise it's just empty words to me. So even if I wanted to ask for sympathy, I couldn't do it from my YouTube channel, or from my YouTube audience, because it doesn't have that impact on me. In order for me to really feel what someone else is feeling when they say something, I need to know them personally. So I've never really used my audience as an emotional support system, or whatever you want to call it. And whenever I've seemed to do that, it's just my way of communicating. I have a way of communicating that is very blunt, which makes it seem like I'm like there's supposed to be some subtext that implies that I maybe want sympathy or whatever, but no, there's no subtext. It's like, whenever I'm being blunt, it comes across that I'm implying something. I'm usually not implying. I don't like implying. I like saying what I mean and nothing more and nothing less. Sometimes I fail to do that because it is a hard thing to keep up. Like, there's a reason most people don't do that. It's just kind of something you fall back to as a human. You just kind of want to slip in some extra meaning that you don't want to say out loud. I try not to do that, but I can't really say that I have never done that. I couldn't point to an instance when I have done it specifically, because I don't really watch my own videos. I don't really know what I said. I just know that this is something that seems to keep coming up, and I just want to address that it's not something that was ever intended. If it came across that way, that's either you interpreting it wrong or me communicating it poorly. Like, if I need sympathy from someone, I talk to my friends, and if they don't want to give sympathy, well, now I have a therapist for that. I'm gonna get to my last point, which is not really a point, it's more just me giving some credit to people who have been working with me in various ways over the course of this channel's history, starting of course with my voice actors, because I gotta say, I really did not appreciate them the way I should have, because considering that I just pulled them out of my own audience and they turned out as good as they did, is pretty impressive in and of itself. And also, not one of them asked for compensation. Like, I didn't even consider that maybe exposure isn't an appropriate payment when I'm getting ad revenue for it and they aren't getting nothing other than, you know, their name in the credits. But no one ever complained about it. They did their job for the most part. You know, some people just kind of vanished, but that's understandable, because again, I was pulling people out of my audience. They're not really going to be the most reliable. I should have searched for semi-professional voice actors, but I didn't. And I was also a pretty hard person to work with, honestly, because I was pretty socially inept. So what I would usually do is I would just send the script over and expect them to send me their lines and not really have any input beyond that. Like, if I were to do something like this now, I would probably like add them to a call or something and then just kind of go through their lines with them so I could direct them somewhat, instead of just expecting them to get it right and then just do whatever with that. So yeah, shoutouts to them for just putting up with me pretty much. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure that pretty much all of us were just kids. I was a kid, they were kids, so I don't think anyone really took issue with my way of doing it. I don't think they had much more of a clue of what I was doing than I was. But yeah. I just, like, looking back at it, I just think I handled it pretty poorly, and I'm pretty upset about that. It is pretty nice, though, because a few of them has actually gotten back to me, including Colin's voice actor. He just kind of randomly got back to me. I think it was last year, or maybe 2 years ago, I don't know. It was a while ago, and we just kind of exchanged a few messages, and he was still chill. He was still, like, I gotta say, he was probably one of my favorites, because he really went the extra mile. Like, when you may remember, you probably don't, but like when I was looking for voice actors, I just kind of said like, hey, send me a sample of your voice and your voice acting skills, and I just put no direction, no outline, anything. He did that himself. He like wrote up a little script and then read it out loud several times in different voices, doing different personalities or takes on it, whatever, so that I could get a full like extent of his range and his ability. And I should have asked for something like that myself, but I didn't. So the fact that he just did that work for me is, I really appreciate it. Like, you know, in hindsight, I didn't mention it at the time, but I'm mentioning it now when he's probably not watching it. But if he is, then yeah, good on you. You were one of the better ones, just for doing my work for me, pretty much. The Endventures is another one that I really thought did that. Like, you know, he like, just the fact that he did the SFX to the voice himself. Like, I didn't add that myself. He did that on his own, and that's probably for the best, because if I were to do it, I probably wouldn't do a good job of it. I don't know what he was doing, but you know, he was doing something. At least he was doing something right. And another one that stood out to me is Medusa Bell's voice actor, who was only in one episode, or one video rather. And it's just because after sending in her voice lines, she sent me a little cute recording to go with that, just telling me that she really liked the character, and that was so sweet, and I never really got to know that. And the last one I wanted to like specifically mention, like, there were others, of course, but none of them really had an impact on me in that same way. And I'm sorry if you're watching this and you were one of those voice actors, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I could just try to think of something to say about all of them, but I'm sorry, there's just nothing where I can really think of. Maybe, like, it was also many years ago, so maybe you left more of an impact than I remember. But the only one that stands out to me even now is the Rebel Leader. I don't remember his name. I know he still watches my videos, though. So if he is in the comments, I'm just gonna give his video a heart. I'm just gonna give his comment a heart, probably, just so you can see him. Because like just the fact that he's watched my videos all this time means a lot to me. Like, just having someone left from that period of my channel still, it's really cool. And like, even as a voice actor, like, he was one who was very responsive to feedback, not to my feedback, because I was too scared to really say anything about what they were doing. But he would read the comments on the video, and he would think, oh, people have been saying this, so I should probably just, you know, try to do this better. And yeah, again, he really went the extra mile. Like, when he was gonna do a line where he was supposed to sound exhausted, he went outside to run for a while, so he would actually be exhausted. Like, that kind of thing. Like, that's really cool. He was really fun to work with, even when I wasn't. So, yeah, like, he's another one that I'm just, like, shout outs to that guy. He's really cool. And if I see him in the comments, I'm just gonna highlight him, because, yeah, I like him. Obviously, I'm appreciative of all of them for just working with me for free and putting up with me, but those are the ones that really stood out to me as, like, and I still think of it every once in a while, like, man, I'm glad that Endventures happened, just so I could, like, interact with those people, even though it was under the rather awkward circumstances that I set up. Um, Also, I want to mention Luna, my friend Luna, because she hasn't really done much visibly on the channel, but, like, she has done so much for me over the years. Like, she has been a tremendous friend, and I wish I could say the same about myself, but really I do not think I have been giving back as much as she's been giving me, and I'm just gonna keep trying to make up for that, because she has helped me out so much. She has done some stuff on the channel, like, every once in a while, but, like, in my private life, she has been an absolute treasure, and I'm going to strive for getting to a point where she can say the same about me. I don't think she can right now, um, but I'm just gonna, she's an amazing friend, and I want to be an amazing friend for her too. So, Luna, if you're watching this, you're freaking amazing, pretty much. And the same goes for my other buddies, who I'm not going to mention by name, because I don't think I ever mentioned them on my channel. So, if they don't want the names dropped here, I don't want to uh, dox them, even though I wouldn't be using their real names, but, still. But yeah, I mean, if you want to be seen, I guess you can say something in the comments as well, and they'll heart you as well. But yeah, just behind the scenes, I've had some really good friends who have helped me out a lot, and I'm just going to try to keep being a good friend to them, because I think that between my depression and some other issues, and just my general personality, which isn't really the greatest, to be honest, that's one thing I'm seeing therapy about. I don't think I've always been as good a friend to them as they have been to me, and I want to fix that. I really want to actively work on that. So yeah, a bit of a sort of, I don't know, is this a bitter note to end on? I don't know. But yeah, that's one thing I wanted to say for the end, just basically, like, to all the people who have been involved with me, like, whether it be on my channel or just in my private life, I'm really grateful for that. I know that's kind of a cliche thing to say, but it's something that I don't say lightly, so it really means something, okay? And I guess I should also say something to you watching right now, even if you're a total rando, which is just, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks for watching any of my videos on this channel. And that goes out even to the people that I don't personally like having here, because honestly, if it hadn't been for all the randos, all the people who are just typing mindless comments and only asking for monster school or whatever, if it hadn't been for all of those, my channel wouldn't really have taken off in the way it did. And there was a time when that was a good thing for me, when my channel was a source of a lot of joy and a lot of personal growth. So having gotten that, I think it bears at the very least some appreciation, even towards the people that I don't really want to personally appreciate, because, like, it's just, like, like YouTubers tend to say, none of this would have been possible if it wasn't for all of you guys. And, it's a pretty gag-worthy line, but there is some truth to it, and as little as it is, I think I should at least say that much. So, yeah. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks for watching any of my videos, like, at all. And that's it for me, pretty much. Like I said, there's going to be another video in a few days, and that's going to be my proper goodbye. But if you don't want to watch that one, if you were never into Endventures or whatever, then this is my goodbye. So, yeah, I've never been good at ending videos. I'm not going to start now, because I'm stopping altogether. But, yeah, goodbye, and again, thank you for watching at all.